It was another ordinary morning at the corporate office of Hillside Enterprises, a prominent law firm known for its prestigious clients and talented team. For Darius Johnson, the day had started like any other. He grabbed his coffee, exchanged pleasantries with the receptionist, and walked to his desk, ready to dive into the pile of work awaiting him. As one of the only black employees at Hillside, Darius had learned to navigate the challenges of a predominantly white workplace. He had worked hard to earn his position and was determined to succeed, despite the occasional awkward glances and subtle biases he had come to expect. However, on this particular day, things were about to take a dark turn, one that would challenge Darius in ways he never expected. Samantha Harris, a senior associate at the firm, was known for her sharp wit and impressive legal skills, but she also had a reputation for being difficult. She had been with Hillside for years and had slowly risen through the ranks, often using her connections to maintain her position. But there was something about Darius that bothered her. He was smart, capable, and had a natural charisma that earned him respect in the office, something she hadn't anticipated. Over time, Samantha's behavior towards Darius had become increasingly hostile. It started with small, passive-aggressive comments, remarks about his attire, his speaking style, or his mannerisms. When those subtle jabs didn't faze Darius, she took things a step further. It became clear that Samantha was going out of her way to undermine him. She would interrupt him in meetings, dismiss his suggestions without any valid reason, and make sure to highlight every small mistake he made in front of colleagues, as though she were on a mission to ensure his failure. One day, it all came to a head. Darius had just finished presenting a new legal strategy to a client when Samantha, who had been sitting quietly at the back of the meeting room, suddenly spoke up. "Are you sure you understand the details of this case, Darius?" she asked in front of everyone, her tone dripping with condescension. "It seems like you've missed a few crucial points that might make or break our case." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Darius. He could feel the tension in the air, the familiar weight of judgment bearing down on him. But this time, something inside him shifted. He wasn't going to let Samantha's manipulative behavior slide anymore. With calm determination, Darius turned toward her. "I've been working on this case for weeks, Samantha. I'm well aware of the details. Perhaps you should take the time to actually listen before making assumptions." Samantha's smile faltered for just a second, but she quickly regained her composure. "Well, I just think it's best to double-check everything, especially with someone as new as you." The comment was pointed, but Darius didn't flinch. He could feel his colleagues looking on, some of them uncomfortable with the exchange, others too afraid to intervene. But Darius knew one thing. He wasn't going to let Samantha's attempts to belittle him affect his work. He finished the meeting with confidence, answering questions and offering valuable insight, despite the tension that hung in the room. Later that afternoon, Darius was summoned to HR. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. As he walked into the office, he was greeted by Julia, the head of Human Resources. Samantha was sitting across from her, her face unreadable. "I'm sorry to inform you, Darius, that there's been a formal complaint lodged against you," Julia said, her voice calm but firm. "Samantha has reported that your behavior in the meeting was unprofessional and disruptive. She claims you were insubordinate and refused to take feedback." Darius was taken aback. He had expected this, but hearing it aloud made his stomach churn. He knew Samantha had been gunning for him for weeks, but this was different. She was trying to get him fired. "I'm sorry, Julia," Darius said, trying to maintain his composure. But Samantha's complaint isn't accurate. I've always been respectful to her and my colleagues. I've never raised my voice or been disruptive. In fact, I've been working hard to make sure I'm doing my job well." Julia glanced between Darius and Samantha, her expression neutral. "We take all complaints seriously, and we have to look into this. It's our responsibility to ensure a harmonious work environment for everyone." Samantha's smug expression made Darius feel like a target. He knew that if he didn't do something, his job could be at risk. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized that this wasn't just about him. It was about standing up for what was right. Over the next few days, Darius gathered evidence. He took notes of every interaction he had with Samantha, including the subtle digs, the rude comments, and her attempts to sabotage his work. He spoke to colleagues who had witnessed Samantha's behavior and asked them to provide statements. Darius didn't want to make a scene, but he was prepared to fight for his reputation. One afternoon, he found the courage to speak to Julia again. This time, he was clear, calm, and direct. "Julia, I don't know if you've noticed, but Samantha has been making my work life miserable. I have evidence to prove that she's been undermining me in front of clients and colleagues. If you look closely, you'll see that I've done nothing wrong." Julia's expression softened as she listened to Darius. "I appreciate you bringing this to me, Darius," she said. "We'll look into it." A week later, Darius received a call from Julia. "We've completed our investigation, and I must admit, I'm very disappointed by the findings. Samantha's behavior toward you has been inappropriate and unprofessional. She has a history of making similar complaints about other employees, and we've decided to take action." The next day, Samantha was called into HR and given a warning. When she returned to her desk, she was greeted by an empty chair. Her superior had already made arrangements to move her to a different department. Samantha's attempts to undermine Darius had not only failed, but had now led to her own downfall. For Darius, the sense of relief was overwhelming. He knew this wasn't just a personal victory. It was a statement. No one would be allowed to sabotage his career, no matter their position. He had stood his ground, fought back against the injustice, and proven that determination and integrity could triumph over malice. Word of Samantha's removal spread quickly throughout the office, and to Darius's surprise, many of his colleagues came forward, offering support and commending him for his professionalism. He wasn't just the victim of a toxic workplace anymore. He was the person who had turned the tide. In the following months, Darius's reputation grew. He was no longer seen as the new guy who was just trying to fit in. He was a respected employee who had earned his place through hard work and resilience. He was promoted, and his ideas were valued by clients and colleagues alike. But more importantly, he became a voice for others who had been overlooked or mistreated. And as for Samantha, she never regained the same level of respect she had once enjoyed. Her actions had exposed her true character, and she found herself isolated in the office, a reminder of what happens when malicious intentions are exposed. If Darius's story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful tales of resilience, justice, and standing up for what's right. Your voice matters, and you're not alone.